Guys, look at that. That is no joke. 10 Malignant hearts equipped, all wrathful. And how are people doing these insane glitches in the game? Well, I'm here to go ahead and tell you guys over on YouTube as well as Twitch. People were asking me if I wanted to go ahead and do the exploit, or what are my thoughts on that. Well, I will go ahead and answer really quickly. No, I don't want to be any part of this exploit. The reason why is it could get your account banned, and I don't want my account banned. On top of that, I'm an official Diablo partner, so it'd be looking pretty bad if I was to do exploits live on stream, right? There are certain times where doing certain things that are like smart game mechanics to maybe reset certain areas faster, but for the most part, doing anything like this is definitely something that is malicious, and you have to intentionally do it. It's not like something that is accidental. So starting right off, let me go ahead and answer. First off, what is this crazy thing that people are doing? So there's two big things that are happening right now. One of them affects everyone. The other one kind of affects maybe some people that would be interested in PvP, but it's on the Eternal realm, and most people are playing seasons anyways. So to explain this crazy game-breaking bug, first off, what are people doing? So they're essentially unplugging their Ethernet cable on certain conditions. When these things are met, they're kind of exploiting it by unplugging their Ethernet cable. And I want to go ahead and first off say, in terms of people saying, dude, this is, Blizzard, how come they can't fix this? How could they not see people doing this? This is, I guess, something that was actually revealed back when people were partying up softcore and hardcore characters. It was another bug, and this is essentially kind of the same thing, and they never really fully patched that out. So what people are doing is the same glitch, and what they're doing is they're transferring their seasonal items to non-season, and non-season, aka Eternal, to the season. So basically what happened is all of the gold that is in seasons essentially gets devalued, because I was browsing some of the Diablo trade websites and everything just shot up in price. I looked it up. Apparently there was also a gold dupe exploit, but the main focus on this video is mainly tackling this season to non-season, and this could be something that may affect the game in its long-term life cycle if Blizzard doesn't take a stance on what is going to be something that they would consider exploits. They need to basically tweet out or say something publicly like ASAP. Even though this just got discovered recently, you need to be fast. That's just how games move, especially if you're considering your game a live service. You need to be able to react to some of these things instantly and just tweet out and say, anyone doing this, you're going to get banned, you're going to get your account wiped, we're going to be doing something, some sort of a small punishment. I think would be okay in terms of making a ban. Sometimes it's players' first games and no one really reads the TOS or browses to see is using this external mod an exploit. Because I remember in Diablo 2 as a kid, I wanted my text to be in rainbow colors. Like, you had the ability to change your text in the game, and some of these would just give you small slaps on the wrist. It wouldn't ban your account. You'd be like squelched in the chat. But this one is a pretty big exploit. So let's go ahead and talk briefly about my thoughts on it and what people are doing. So again, the whole thing is that people are transferring their gold from Eternal to the season, and what that does, that kind of messes up the economy, right? Because there is an economy. You go to different Diablo trade websites. There's also the official Sanctuary Discord where you can go ahead and buy and sell items for gold. I'm talking not real money. Obviously, that's again terms of service as well, but like just selling stuff for gold on forums, it doesn't really matter if you're selling in-game, gold, right? To go ahead and sell. But this made everything go up in price, which is crazy, and apparently there's also a gold dupe exploit, so this is kind of exponentially increasing the prices of everything on other websites. But in addition to that, this is what I find to be more game-breaking. I mean, look at this. There is 10 Malignant hearts equipped in this Necromancer over here, and what I find more interesting is the, I guess, Eternal realm doesn't actually have any of the partial rules. So one rule, obviously, you cannot throw in multiple Wrathful hearts, but it looks like these are all Wrathful hearts, right, in terms of like their colors over here. And on top of that, there's not 10 Wrathful hearts that you can equip that would be all different for any class, right? Or are they equipping things from other classes and it works? Because it seems like there are certain rules that may not apply on the Eternal realm. So obviously, yes, you can socket your Wrathfuls in, I guess, your pants, your helmet. Like, it's literally everywhere. This is game-breaking already. But then to top that off, maybe you're able to actually equip multiple of the same or stuff from other classes, which I think is, it opens up the doors for crazy ideas in terms of builds. I mean, imagine the Necromancer just being able to activate, abilities and just pull people in like the Druid could. I haven't seen gameplay of this. This guy was just making a post over here, but he's basically showing off, and he's like, guys, says, you know, there's some serious bugs, and he kind of explains, you know, what people are doing, and then he shows off some of the items that people are, you know, having equipped. And yes, this is absolutely insane, having all of the Malignant hearts, but this is something where I would say it's relatively easy to detect, you know, in Eternal Realm. If any of these players have these items, you just delete either their account, or you, you know, just obviously deleting the hearts wouldn't make the player, they might kind of upset, because farming these, with the exception of doing that thing where you're resetting the area, you have a player leave and you never complete the quest to farm the Wrathful Hearts. So here's my stance on my thoughts on this in terms of this whole thing, in terms of transferring your gold, and also you can transfer items also. This is part of the same glitch. If you look it up, again, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a warning. I would not recommend doing this. I don't want to do any of this, because some people are like, hey dude, can you help me do this? I'm like, bro, one, no, I'm not going to help you do something that like will get me potentially banned, but on top of that, again, I'm a Diablo partner, it'd probably look really bad on me doing any sort of exploits and stuff like that. But on top of that, I don't want to get my account banned, so I would say don't do any of these glitches. But here's my stance on it, and I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on this as well. So what are, I guess, the possible outcomes of this? So the possible outcomes are the players get banned and they lose their account. They could get, like, let's say, muted. They could lose their items. You could get all your gold deleted. There's a lot of different ways that you can tackle in terms of severity in the punishment department. But the problem is that because people are trading so many of these different items, you know, someone might just buy an item on a forum and they might not have known that this was a non-seasonal item. So people could get screwed over and it's not even their fault. So Blizzard might just say, well, we can't figure out, you know, how are you supposed to know if you just go to a Diablo trade website and an item appears that it was from, you know, Eternal Realm and now someone transferred it over? There's just kind of no way. And I feel like that system over there in terms of gold, because, you know, maybe, you know, someone wants to just unload all of their exploited gold real quick, so they buy an item for way more than it's worth, and then they sell it so that gold is tagged as different gold. There's a lot of crazy things that people do in any video games when it comes down to having, you know, bot items if they are, you know, obtained from a botter or a duper. There's a lot of things that people do in any video game, right? So it's kind of hard to sometimes determine who was the original, like, I guess, cheater and who just got screwed over by someone trying to, like, just get rid of the money real quick because it's like the money that should not be there. So there's kind of that debacle too. How are you going to determine who did it legit and who got mistakenly screwed over by this? But then there's also, again, this option, which I think this is kind of a different category, because the Malignant Hearts obviously shouldn't exist, and throwing 10 of them in, I mean, come on, you can't say that you accidentally unplugged your Ethernet cable at the right time with these Malignant Hearts, transferred it over to your Eternal character, and thought, man, I'm just gonna accidentally put this in my helmet. Like, come on, this is taking it to the next level. So in terms of that, I would say to at least give some sort of punishment, because at the end of the day, if you just ban everyone that has any of the gold or any of the items that were transferred, I think that would make people a lot angrier, and they may actually, again, get screwed over. So then you run into the situation of innocent players getting messed up by this. So it's a really hard thing to do, because on top of that, you have people that will have these in the Eternal Realm, right? And like, if you're playing in the Eternal Realm and you're doing PvP, then how are you supposed to compete with someone that has legit 10 Malignant Hearts? It's impossible. You would just get absolutely deleted. And what I find crazier is, can you stack? Because, like, now I'm asking myself questions about, like, what can you do in terms of theory crafting? Because that's how my brain thinks. I'm like, can you throw in 10 barbers? Does it stack now? Because the Eternal Realm obviously doesn't follow certain rules of the game, which is kind of interesting. So what this would mean is that anyone that transferred their items, let's say they patch this bug completely, right? What happens to the people that already socketed the items? Do they just keep the item? Does it stay there? Does it get wiped? I think a fair severe, like a fair punishment, because I think banning players is a little bit severe, and I know that, like, yes, this is definitely an exploit, right? But because there's too many people that could be involved in this, obviously the Wrathful Hearts, that's like, is obviously that they kind of like did that, right, intentionally. But at the same time, some people just may have seen like a YouTube guide on this, and they're just like, well, you know, they just want to try it out. And if they get banned, they may never come back in the game anymore. And at the end of the day, to me, this is like a very exciting topic to kind of see the perspective of everyone in terms of what they would do in this scenario. So, you know, to answer a question in terms of, you know, what do I think should happen to these players? Okay, so the players that like bought, you know, like they traded their gold for items and stuff, again, there's innocent people involved. You can't ban them, all right? So what would you do in terms of punishment? It's it's too hard. Do you roll their account back? Because then, you know, what if they got some other items? It's going to be a disaster for Season 1. Honestly, I think that either way, people will get mad, but regardless of what you take in the stance. Because if people don't get punished, then the people that are legit would be like, dude, how come you're not banning these people? Now all the price of everything has gone up to the roof. And then you have the other people that like did the exploit, like, hey, we didn't get banned or anything. So it's really hard. But in terms of the Wrathful like items on the items, I think a small punishment that would be like something that they maybe are more accepting of is whatever they put Wrathful Hearts on, it just deletes their item. Like, you know what you were doing, and this way it doesn't ban them permanently, right? Most people only play seasons, but at least that like they lost their item, and therefore they're like, okay, I shouldn't have done that. Because if you just do nothing and just delete the Wrathful Hearts, when there's a new exploit, they might just try it again. And I think you need to lay the foot down and say that at least. Or you could at least tweet it out or make an official, like, you know, sometimes companies don't like to do this where they go on camera and they say like, okay, if anyone's doing these exploits, we're going to ban you guys. Because it makes them look like, well, they didn't fix their game. Why are they banning people for something that you can be done in game? But it's like unplugging the internet. It's like you know what you're doing. Like, it's not like you accidentally do these kinds of glitches, right? So, I think they should at least take a stance and say, if anyone does this in the future, you know, we will permanently ban you when it's like an exploit of this level. Because again, this should not exist in the game. I mean, it'd be cool. Okay, here's how you actually make it so everyone would be actually really excited. Because I was thinking about this, and I'm like, well, how do you make this situation good for everyone? And the only way I can think of this, and this would make the game crazy, but at the same time, I think it would be insanely enjoyable if they just said, all right guys, you can now throw Wrathful Hearts into everything, and your seasonal characters can now be transferred over. Just click the button. Only for Season 1, because of this thing, we're just gonna let you guys have like the most crazy wild season. 10 Malignant Hearts, 10 Wrathfuls, because people have already done it. And the thing that is weird as a content creator, sometimes this happened in the Path of Exile community, where people would show their non-seasonal characters and they would basically cut out certain things, or they put overlays covering certain things, and they would make it look like that they were playing on season with their builds, but it really wasn't. And you would have basically gameplay that could never really exist because they're kind of like cheating essentially. Or they would basically cut their videos up to, they would show like some sort of season mechanic, make the character very, very identical, so you couldn't really tell unless you knew that the video footage was cut up. So now you have people running around showing off crazy builds with 10 Wrathful Hearts, which is never something that is going to be able to be done. But then like you could be like, oh, what's this build? And he's like, all right, you want this build guide? I'm going to charge you on my website to make this build guide. And you know it's not going to work the same. So I think the only real solution where everybody wins and everyone's super excited to hop back into this game, and I know this is kind of a wild take on it, but this is the only way where you don't make anyone super mad. You say, everyone, your seasonal characters or your eternal characters can now be converted. You could convert your seasonal character or your eternal characters to seasoned, and then on top of that, you can socket as many Wrathful Hearts as you want. You just have fun, guys. This is Armor Stakes, so we're gonna let you guys have a blast for Season 1. But please, in Season 2, if any exploits come out in the future like this, do not engage in them. We will permanently ban you. But this is our way of making it fair grounds, because at the end of the day, there's no fair grounds for this unless you do exactly what I'm saying. Because again, the people that didn't do the exploit will, at the end of the day, be kind of upset. And obviously, if you roll back everyone that did this, they're still going to be mad. So there really isn't like a good solution other than what I offered. But let me know your guys' thoughts. What would you do if you were in Blizzard's position? But that's it for the video. If you guys enjoyed this crazy discussion, drop a like on it. If you're new here, hit subscribe, turn the bell if you'd like to see more Diablo videos in the future. And I'll follow up with what happens with Blizzard on the situation, because Season 1, it's crazy, man, with this newest drama. Anyways, peace out, guys.